Hello everybody, and welcome back to 18 Mile Hike. We are still in one of the, an anthology stories or whatever, where the girl go out into forest, find thing, on road trip, go back to hotel, right? That's what we're doing. Or motel? Hotel. Did that say motel before? Like in another scene? I don't remember. It's fine. It's fine. They're basically the same thing, right? There's like one letter off. When Natalie got back to the hotel lobby, she slid her keycard against the door. But it wouldn't open. In fact, it didn't even seem to register at all. Oh no. She didn't want to have to make her friends come down and let her in, but she figured she might have to. Rennie? I never figured out how to pronounce this. Rennie wouldn't mind, but Rennie went to sleep early and was known to ignore texts if she got too into what she was watching. She wouldn't dare text Lisa over something like this, but because Natalie felt that she was already skating on thin ice with her as it was. You're outside! Locked out! Who cares what she's gonna think? She thought it was weird for a hotel to lock up this early, considering it was only 9:30, and they would have given her a key card. Right when she said, right when she was about to text Rennie, the receptionist showed up down the hallway and walked towards her to open the door. Yeah? Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. What were you doing out there? Natalie blinked. She was surprised to be asked that, considering it wasn't really his business. Oh, it's that guy, that receptionist, okay. Plus, there was a pub across the street. She could have just told him she was drinking, and a lot of people must have probably told him that over the years. She figured maybe that's why he looked so sour right now. His relationship with the pub owner might be strained if drunken guests made problems for him on the regular. But she didn't want to be kicked out of the hotel in the middle of the night if he decided to act strangely. So she played along. Just a little walk in the quarry. To her surprise, that only made him look more tense. You didn't leave your name anywhere, did you? The question was a little too specific. She was reaching into her pocket now, reaching for her phone. Why? There's fairies out there. Oh, it's a joke. Fairies? She cracked a smile, but he didn't. Yes, fairies. And all sorts of unholy things that walk the earth, when the conditions are right. Natalie sighed. If it wasn't a joke, then it probably was some sort of neg he pulled on visitors he didn't trust. Here, let me turn up the game volume slightly. We got that eerie buzzing in the background. We want that a little bit audible, right? I'm no stranger to folklore, but isn't rural Appalachia a little bit far from rolling hills of Europe? The man gave her a solemn nod. Wherever there's fruiting mushrooms and damp moss, there's fairies. Especially in places they've been growing for a long time. And the trees here, they're old. The men who cut into the ground, cut into the ground, deep cut. I'm actually swapping words around. I'm go man, sorry. The men who cut into the ground, cut deep, but took the stone liberally. We shouldn't be surprised they'd want to keep taking the things we own. Natalie wasn't sure what to make of his conversation, but she didn't want to be rude. I'll take your warning to heart. Never eat anything they give you either. I don't think I would. Oh, I don't think I would, but thanks for the tip. Oh, well, we could throw away those Skittles, right? Whenever Natalie got to her room, she told Lisa and Rennie her story. Lisa's face twisted into a look of abject disgust while Rennie's brow furrowed, giving Natalie a look of quiet amusement. Oh god, I told you he was a weirdo. He had that look about him. Sure, he might be weird, but I didn't get the feeling he's harmful. Ugh, I told you this place was fucked. Something bad always happens when we come here. I bet he is harmful, said Rennie. Then jerked her head to Lisa. Just maybe not in the way she thinks he is. Lisa narrowed her eyes and tilted her head at Rennie while she shook her head. We should ask him in the morning if he sells t-shirts or crystals. Natalie crossed her arms. I didn't get the impression that he was trying to sell me anything either. Rennie looked her in the eye. You never do. Then she tilted her head back and forth to accentuate her point. And then that's when they try to sell you something. He just kept getting really insistent on me not leaving my name anywhere. Lisa turned her head sharply back to the conversation. That's why he wouldn't take any of our personal information earlier. He doesn't want our names. Rennie made a face like something smelled bad in the room. Damn, either he's really committed to this bit, or he really does believe what he's saying. She shook her head. That would be strange, but then again, I've heard stranger. Sometimes there's a grain of truth to these things. Or he's just a freak. Also plausible, sorry. I don't think he's a freak. I think he's just old. Rennie started laughing. Okay. The way that you said that was so fucking blunt. I wasn't trying to be mean. Sure. I just mean I think it's interesting how some people can still believe in this stuff. Everybody these days is so skeptical about anything magical and fantastic. Lisa gave Natalie a look. It's nice until somebody shows up in your room with an axe unannounced, dressed as Peter Pan. Rennie howled with laughter. Oh, whatever. Meow. Meow? Natalie rolled her eyes. I'm going to take a shower, and then we can go to bed. Lisa crosses her arms. Like, it's going to be easy for me to sleep now. Natalie knew Lisa was being dramatic. She knew that by the time she'd be done with the shower, Lisa would be stuck looking through TikTok makeover videos. Is that a thing? Is that... I don't know I barely know what TikTok is, guys. This is okay. Thinking about how to try out new designs. And she was right. She was laughing and smiling with Rennie again like she thought she'd be. At least her mood would pick up once they took off and we were out of here in the morning. Since Lisa had paid for the room, she got one whole bed to herself. Natalie and Rennie shared. Rennie was a snorer, but it was light enough to not be a problem. Especially when she remembered to put on her nasal strip. Ah, okay. They turned out the lights and pulled over the covers, and Natalie let her eyelids droop. Until she felt them snap open again. The inside of the room was dark enough to still be the middle of the night. A sense of anxiety washed over her for some reason. It was hard to breathe, and she couldn't move. She had the feeling that she was being watched, and it was coming from the corner of the room by the door. Panic set in when she saw somebody standing in the dark. It was big enough to be an adult, but she couldn't see any details past the faintest movement of swaying cloth and a glint of something. She thought that it was possible that this person could be Rennie until she heard the soft, slow snore beside her. It could be Lisa, but she couldn't turn her head to look, and even if she could, she didn't make a move. If she moved, then whatever it would know that she was awake, which meant that whoever it is, that's what that says, might rush toward her. If they had a weapon, she'd be at a disadvantage. But not being able to move was already a disadvantage. So she closes her eyes again, hoping it was her imagination, or at least a sleepwalking, or maybe even a waking dream. She was exhausted that sleep might take her again shortly. Then she woke up. She was fine. Lisa was making a pot of complimentary hotel coffee in an undersized carafe? What is that word? And Rennie was brushing her teeth in the bathroom. Natalie looked at the corner, but there was nobody there. She jumped out of bed and ran to the hotel door, opening it. Natalie? She ignored Lisa's calls and jiggled the handle. It didn't feel loose, and there was no sign of damage. Girl, get in here. You're in your PJs. She closed the door, then turned on her phone's flashlight and dropped to the floor. Nobody was under the bed. What are you doing? Natalie wiped her head with the back of her hand and paced. Then she faced Lisa. Did you have any trouble sleeping last night? Lisa gave her a look. I thought I would, but no. Rennie shook her head. Slept like a baby. I know, I heard you snore. Well, you don't have to make it personal. I meant that I woke up. She wanted to say that somebody woke her up, but then again, she figured it could have been a dream. She didn't want to freak any of them out about the possibility of a room invader if nothing actually happened. Or if it was just Lisa sleepwalking, like she used to, and she didn't want to embarrass her. Should we be concerned about something? I think a cricket or a frog or something got inside. A stupid thing was going off at night. Rennie's brow furrowed and Lisa cringed. I don't want to think about that. The kinds of bugs we'd find here if we looked too hard. Can we just go? Yeah. Mind if I drive? Rennie phrased the question more like a statement. You don't look like you'd do so good behind the wheel today. Yeah, I think that would be wise. Lisa got Natalie to pack up pretty quick, okay? But Rennie wasn't the fastest packer. Natalie felt the hair on the back of her neck raise when she passed the receptionist's desk, but the man seemed to have very little interest in looking at them or communicating with them aside from a curt nod and a tab on a hanging bin to put the keycard in. They packed the car as Rennie sighed. They used to serve complimentary breakfast. They probably don't get enough people anymore to bother. Natalie stared at a bit at the motel. It was still just the plain old motel she had stayed in for years, but she remembered that awful shine of eyes that seemed too wet and fabric that moved slightly wrong and chewed on her nail. But they piled into the car and took off. Nothing had happened yet. She figured nothing would happen. She even checked the back seat and the trunk of the car very carefully, in case somebody had decided to sneak in, like all the urban legends she's read about. They rode for a full 30 minutes without anything happening at all. Can we stop at Bojangles or something? I'm starving. The closest thing looks like a Shoney's. Don't disrespect me like that. Lisa rolled her eyes, and Natalie was still too anxious to eat, so she didn't weigh in. She wanted to get her mind off of this. Her mind wandered back to the woods, and to the little cache in the quarry she had visited. She knew it was way too soon to check if anybody had gotten a hold of her travel bug, but she wanted to check it regardless. She loaded the website on her cell phone. To her surprise, there was an entry. Was 0.37 miles. Okay. The timestamp was for the comment was 3:30 a.m. Okay. October 3rd, 2022? Good year, I think. I don't remember. I think I was still recording Password around that time. There was coordinates given to the location the bug had traveled to. Her eyes widened a bit because she recognized them, but she had to be sure. When the coordinates, Natalie dropped her phone. Careful, said Lisa as she grabbed it. Why are you looking up the hotel again? It looks like somebody found my bug. Rain splattered on the windshield as brown and gold leaves were pushed aside by windshield wipers. I guess it could have been picked up by somebody staying at the hotel with us, or the guy who owned it. Lisa had put on the voice she put on when she thought she was right. She was idly evening out her lipstick. Okay, looking into the little hand mirror. But what if she was right? After all, he did have the place locked up, she thought. What if he was following me? And he'd have access to the room at night, too. But we saw his face. Even if he was a pervert, he wouldn't be so stupid. Stupid to what? Asked Lisa. Yeah, that's a real cliffhanger, Natalie. The rain picked up again. Well, I can't be sure of what I saw last night. Rennie cleared her throat. You've been real skittish, Natalie, and I'm gonna be real. You're giving me the chills. Natalie inhaled and then blew out a puff of air. I think I saw somebody staring at us in the room last night. Rennie pulled the car over. You mean like a person? Natalie, why the hell didn't you say anything? I thought it could have been a dream. Or just you sleepwalking. I know when I've sleptwalked, Natalie. I tend to wake up somewhere that I shouldn't. Then why do you think it could have been a dream? What do you mean, you think it could have been a dream? That's what that says. I had sleep paralysis. You can't move during sleep paralysis. You're still going through REM sleep while you're partially awake. Reality and dreams get mixed up. They both strained their necks to look at her. I didn't want to say anything because I knew you'd both freak out. Sometimes it's okay to freak out. This is freaky. Natalie's phone buzzed in her hands. She looked down at the screen and then back to Natalie. It updated. What did? Your travel bug page? What did it say? 27.34 miles. Timestamp. 11:34 a.m. October 3rd, 2022. Rennie took off her sunglasses as she poked the hyperlink to the coordinates on the smartphone screen. That's the road we're on. All three of the girls looked at the road. He'd be coming from that direction. Do you see any vehicles? No, but I don't plan to. Rennie shifted gears and then hit the gas, pushing Lisa and Rennie backwards after 10 minutes of driving over 80 miles per hour. The phone buzzes again. What's it say? 32 miles. 11:39 a.m. He's got to be moving just as fast as us. I think he's trying to close the distance. The phone buzzes again. 44.32 miles, 11:55 a.m. The phone buzzes again. 50.34 miles, 12:01 p.m. Jesus, he's going fast. You've got to go faster, Rennie. There's too many curves up ahead. If we crash, we're as good as dead. Natalie took her phone back from Lisa and opened the road map. If we make a detour, there's no way this guy should be able to follow us. There's a fork in the road. Let's turn there. Oh, girls. Girls, please. Please. What if it's a dead end? It's not. There's intersections. We can lose them. We just shouldn't stay on the highway. The turn leads them through a small town with cobblestone streets. It looks like the kind of town tucked away on purpose that only railway stations pass through. They ducked into a small diner with a modern industrial look to it. Lisa and Natalie weren't hungry, but Rennie ordered enough food for the three of them. The phone buzzed again. 62.21 miles at 12:32 p.m. Rennie and Lisa looked at Natalie. But where is it? Natalie glanced. Still on the highway? Rennie sighed in relief while Lisa rubbed her eyelids. Something like this always happens when we go to that place. Nothing like this has. They've gotten progressively worse, Natalie. Admit it. That place is fucking cursed. Look, I know you hate the quarry, and I'm sorry about that, but the truth is that I still don't. I hope you do now. Still don't. I do hate creeps who chase me, though. The phone buzzes again. Natalie picked it up to look. Another entry. More coordinates. The picture showed was outside the diner they sat at. Is he here? Natalie held up her finger to keep quiet. Outside of their window, they saw a parking lot full of at least 30 cars. They all knew their... They all knew their pursuer could be in any of them. Do you think they'll come in here? Not unless he has a weapon. I don't think so. What I want to know is how the hell he's tracking you with that bug. Rennie tilted her head. So, what is he tracking us with? And that's when Natalie felt it like a complete idiot and grabbed her jacket pocket. The Skittles. She took them out of her pocket and held the up close. Okay. It wasn't the correct color of red, and even the letters were wrong. Vittles? The front of the S's were wrong on the packaging, and the candy looked more like hexagons than smooth droplets coated in waxy shell. She tore open a package, and an assortment of little gem-shaped candies fell out. They were more like gummies, but tougher, and had a pleasant aroma sent to them. The hell is a Vittles? Looks like something for a prank shop. Natalie wanted to agree with them, but couldn't. There was an uncanny sense of wrongness to them, and didn't seem like an intentional joke. More like a bad attempt at replication than that was genuinely trying to come across as appealing. Should I eat one? Natalie shook her head. They could have been drugged or poisoned, or there's probably a tracking chip in one of the candies, or even the wrapper. She pounded her fist on the table. This is how he's been getting to me? Think we can leave without him seeing us? Well, he'll think we're still inside, if I'm right. They sneaked sneaked one by one back to the car and took off, leaving the Vittles and their orders behind. When they got to the car, the phone buzzed again. It was coming from inside of the diner now. That's when they took off. Okay. I think I'm gonna end the part here. This is fun. This is a good time. So I do hope that you all have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys around. Hello everybody, and welcome back to 18 Mile Hike. We're still here in the horror story. We have our girl Natalie is still being the haunted, you know, like someone took her like tracking bug she left in that like geocache and is just still going after them, and it's spooky, and they think they slipped away at a diner. So let's see. Rennie went over 90 for the first 5 minutes and eventually slid back away from them. The phone buzzed again. It was still in the diner. An hour later, the phone buzzed again. It had gone in a different direction than they were going. It buzzed again 5 minutes later, only now it was further away. The girls whooped and hollered. They had lost him, or her, or whoever it was who was chasing them. Lisa was wringing her hands with joy, and Rennie was hooting and hollering, shaking her head and yelling out the window, while Natalie just stewed a bit. Geocaches were her thing. Most people put their good faith and creativity into their hauls. They were something she had found out about all on her own, and gave her something else to think about, beyond strained friendships or high-stakes exams. She didn't want them to be ruined forever by one terrible experience. Rennie said she'd be happy to ride back to college with her, but needed some time alone before going back on the road again. Lisa said she'd be taking a bus from now on, which Natalie figured was fair. She even invited her. Thought it would be safer with more people around. But Natalie knew that she needed a degree of freedom. Aw. Fall faded into winter and blossom in the spring. Natalie had long since disabled the buzzer on her phone for that particular travel bug, but she couldn't stop herself from looking on occasion. In a perverse, sort of way, the bug was still doing its intended goal. She did want one of her possessions to walk the earth while she was cooped up in the dorm, studying her early 20s away. The person with the bug had been to all 50 states, to Middle America, to South America. She was amazed by how far whoever had this would go. But she stopped at the last update. The previous coordinates were listed as somewhere in Rio just a week ago. This one was outside of her dorm room. Oh. "11:34 a.m. for what month is that? April 5th, 2023 was early last time, halfway done." There's no way that really happened. For once, I agree with the squirt. Squirt! So the thing that I want to know... So was it a guy, or was it a monster? Does it matter? If it supposedly happened. Absolutely. Because that means somebody has to face some... culpability? What is this word? Might be hard to put a fairy in prison. I heard they're supposed to be weak to iron. Y'all are gonna go into the woods with a cast iron pot and a strainer and then find yourselves a real-ass man. Maybe he's hot. Or a serial killer. Both? Alright, let's douse the fire. Way ahead of you. Oh. Man, I'm terrible at figuring out when to when to end parts for recent updates, aren't I? Oh well. I'll just edit this onto the last video, like I tend to have to do. This was fun though. This was very fun. A very good time. I'm looking forward to seeing what these I assume it said #1 on the thing. So I assume we'll eventually get like one story by each of the characters. That sounds exciting. That sounds cool. We'll just click this and do the things. Have all the peoples. There we go. Huh. Are you all excited for another build of this? What do you all think? Tell me in the comments, everyone. But I don't want to hold you all here for too long. So I do hope that you all have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys around. Have a good day, everyone.